This is the download from Sounds Profitable, the most important news from this week and why it matters to the people in the business of podcasting. I'm Gavin Gaddis, writing solo tonight. Before I get started, the download is brought to you by Podscribe. Find out more at podscribe.com. But first up this week, we've got tuning in to On Air Fest. Podcasting grows at South by Southwest. Earnings call roundup, including Acast and Podcast One, and TV now dominates YouTube device usage. Let's get started. This Wednesday from Sounds Profitable, as part of the Sounds Profitable Insights Thought Leadership Series, Brian Barletta sat down with Work creator Scott Newman and On Air Fest Executive Director Jeff Weiner for an interview on the creation and evolution of On Air Fest. A quote from Newman and Weiner, quote, "For creators and publishers, we seek to expand the world of possibilities rather than confine success by guardrails. The biggest innovations in media happened by risk takers," end quote. The event got its start 8 years ago as a live stream akin to a pirate radio station, dubbed WXW On Air. At the invitation of the Wythe Hotel in Brooklyn, which would become the hub of the modern On Air Fest, Work started the event as a way to host radio producers, DJs, and artists for live performance. This then evolved into the current festival setup with live podcast recordings and spoken word performances. The 2025 edition of the festival also has a lot more space to play with this year adding a new 15,000 square foot gallery space dubbed the Creator Hall. On Air Fest passes are still available, including a discount for Sounds Profitable partners. Get in touch to learn more. Brian at soundsprofitable.com for your email pleasure. And Sounds Profitable will be in Brooklyn next week to cover several talks and panels. See you there. Also this Wednesday from Brian Barletta at Sounds Profitable, a look at podcasting's footprint in this year's upcoming South by Southwest. Sounds Profitable will be the lead sponsor of the official podcast stage at South by Southwest 2025, the latest step in a 3-year journey bringing podcasting to one of the biggest networking events in the country. What's more, the stage will be located at the heart of South by Southwest in the Austin Convention Center proper. A quote from Barletta, quote, "Saturday, May 8th, typically South by Southwest's highest attendance day, will showcase nearly a dozen of our partners delivering accessible, short-form solo presentations about the podcast space. This new format has allowed us to bring even more industry voices to South by Southwest while supporting the full panel sessions our partners have submitted. And my partner Tom will also be delivering a new talk called The Influence of Audio on Sunday, March 9th. This is all on top of the incredible panels across all 4 days, heavily showcasing amazing partners." End quote. One partner in particular will be No Mono, the only South by Southwest approved wireless audio solution for the recording of all sessions on stage. In addition to recording the audio and video of every session, No Mono will also be conducting interviews and giving live demonstrations of their sound capsule nearby. Big events like South by Southwest may be daunting, but so is the process of growing a medium like podcasting, and that growth requires ways to sing the praises of podcasting at locations other than podcasting events where everyone there already knows what podcasting is and what it can do. Companies that not only attend but actively identify and invite clients and prospects to see how much of a footprint podcasting has grown to take up and are more likely to thrive in spaces like South by Southwest. To that note, a quick addendum: if you are planning on attending South by Southwest, we have created an incredibly short form that you can fill out to let us know you're coming along. You can find that link in the show notes. We'd love to see you there. Every quarter, we get flooded with companies in the business of podcasting posting their earnings reports for the previous quarter. Today, I've bundled a couple of them together. Consider it an accidental coupling for Valentine's Day. Hallmark would be proud. First up, Acast. Much like Spotify, Acast celebrates its first ever year in profit. Highlights include 17% net sales growth in Q4 and 19% overall for the year. EBITDA profit of the year works out to 24.3 million SEK, which according to Pod News Math works out to 2.2 million USD. Overall listens declined last year by 13%, but it is attributed to the iOS 17 changes to Apple Podcasts at the end of 2023 that corrected for unintended auto-download behavior that had inflated download statistics across the board. Also, with the good news, we have Podcast One, who saw a 22% year-over-year revenue increase, reaching $12.7 million USD. They anticipate to reach a revenue of at least $51 million by the end of the fiscal year in March. Their growth is attributed to expanding Podcast One's programming slate up to 196 shows, surpassing 3.9 billion network downloads thanks to expanding relationships with A&E, Arts and Entertainment, and debuting a podcast adaptation of the History Channel series Ancient Aliens. They also anticipate increased operational efficiencies as Podcast One moves forward on announcing their pivot to hosting on Amazon's Art19 instead of their long-maintained in-house content platform. This Tuesday from Todd Spangler at Variety, the biggest video streaming platform, celebrates its 20th anniversary this year, and CEO Neil Mohan says they've reached the milestone of TV becoming the #1 device for YouTube viewing, beating out desktop and mobile for the first time. Mohan has also highlighted how much the creator economy has matured, moving from consumer camcorder footage uploaded in the 2000s to Dude Perfect opening a $5 million headquarters this year, or spicy food interview series Hot Ones having its own hot sauce line. And viewers are actively spending their money. According to Mohan, in 2024, over 50% of YouTube channels that earn at least $10,000 on YouTube generated revenue from sources other than advertising income, including shopping recommendations and premium channel memberships. From a podcasting perspective, this is great news. The biggest platform for podcast discovery is largely used on TVs now, a big step forward. YouTube has already shared stats regarding how much video podcasting is treated like late-night talk shows on TV. Now we know the app in general is television for a lot of people. Podcasts are being incorporated more and more into daily routines. Finally, it's time for our quick hits. These are articles that didn't quite make the cut for today's episode, but are still worth including in your weekend reading. First up, the social media shift, why brands are betting on audio. Thursday, February 20th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, SiriusXM Media will host a free live event featuring Sounds Profitable's own Tom Webster. Earbuds Podcast Collective celebrates 8 years. The podcast newsletter and recommendation engine celebrates 8 years of functioning and over 400 contributors since it was launched in 2017. Next up, Pod News Report Card. Feedback on major podcast platforms is being collected for Pod News' annual report card. Submissions are being accepted through end of day, March 9th. Podcasts are omni-channel and campaigns should be too, by Sophie Anderson, a SiriusXM-sponsored Adweek blog highlighting the maturation of podcast advertising as a multi-channel tool. MediaVision podcast listening sets a new record in Sweden. A recurring survey of 3,000 respondents in Sweden finds podcasting has grown rapidly in recent years. And finally, Wondery extends a relationship with Wow in the World to continue building the first 360-degree franchise based on podcast IP. The franchise includes exclusive podcasts, merchandise, and touring live shows. That was the download brought to you by Sounds Profitable. I know I went through today's stories fast, so be sure to check out the links to every article mentioned right in your podcast listening app or at the download section of soundsprofitable.com. Thank you for sticking with us as I brought you the top stories you might have missed this week. I'm Gavin Gaddis. Our producers are myself, Newton Shadalcotti, Brian Barletta, and Tom Webster. Special thanks to you for joining us. Robot?
Download complete.